I'd be afraid funny dumb jokes would start making no sense if you were here all day. Like a word you say over and over again, it doesn't sound like a word anymore. Then one might tend to start interpreting about things you don't need to think too much about. Say, maybe if 6 is afraid of 7, for example, for being a numerical punk cannibal, could he really only be angry because 7 is also considered lucky? Wow. I know you don't want to ruin it. I never took you for a deep Freud-like interpreter of obvious jokes. How about 789 out of revenge or sacrifice? Huh. Maybe 789 because they were being divided and 7 wanted something to remember 9 by. I gave him a bedazzled look. Alright, that's getting silly. He thought for a moment and asked, okay, so why don't they christen new taverns or bars the same way the ships are? Well, that's easy. Customers would deem it wiser to celebrate with the bottle unbroken to serve to them. What if it's on the house at happy hour? What if it's... unless it was a whole cellar of the same stuff. It's not the same traditionally as if it ain't a ship. Well, then... I don't know if people lap it up and risk getting broken glasses in their cheeks. I chuckled. Yeah. Especially if the bottle had a near perfect year and only a desperate had wished that it had super speed to leap through the air for it to spray upon their lips like to lick off when back in place before anyone noticed. Like some kind of superpower. He didn't think that was sarcasm. I asked because doing the same way as a ship would signify purifying the building literally with its own product, meaning good luck. Wouldn't that only make sense? Don't you think? Despite a mess? Well, from messes emerge new metaphorical phoenixes. If they were not dedicated, and I never heard of that before, not to mention there'd be a whole lot of broken glass to clean up and windows to wash. Even though I mentioned it. Ugh. It could still count, Felix adds sharply. Okay, it could. You could be in the papers. Speaking of which, good luck with the political cartoon. At another glance, it does speak volumes about riffing on the philosophy of the presidency with an I told you so attitude. Freedom does not exist unless you use it. If you added anything, I'd put a history book duplicating itself like a mutant. Say, that's not bad, Felix agreed, grabbing his second spare napkin. I could make a whole napkin mural hang out here, or at least a collage of wackiness. My comment about the presidency reminded me to pay for the drink. I pulled a 20 out and set it on the counter. Maybe it should have been a 10 for the Secretary of the Treasury. Here you go, for the drink as well as this interesting talk yet again, pal. Ooh, thanks. Let me serve it second for my recompense of servitude. Alright, maybe a third to get close to the price and one to get us change. Yep, nothing. He didn't laugh about the change about a president would make, or wouldn't make. How's about a riddle instead of another joke? He proposed after pouring. Try me, I challenged. What can be wet or dry, long or short, blue or green, has blades that get cut and can be pleasant to two senses. Took me a sec. I stood up. Grass. Kind of obvious, eh? I admit, just testing a brain teaser. He grinned, thanks to his wit. I added, sure can tell a lot about a man by how good he is at riddles or jokes, or laughing at himself, let alone a reputation. And his reputation for memory and imagination and how much he observes. Such was worthy of another toast. And how much he doesn't, he added. That depends on the provided subject. You know, I bet you'd have a blast drawing caricatures for magazines. Why not draw one of yourself on a third napkin? Sure, speaking of observing while I draw for you, can you do me a teensy favor and tell me what the temperature is in the freezer? It may need adjusting. Sure, I've already paid regardless of custom. For that, I think he is sweet as a munchkin. His magnitude of gratitude was often made me grin, so despite his topics turning super random, he could make his whole absurd existential issue on lowercase letters being frauds of one another, like B being a backwards lowercase d. The subject never really mattered as long as it could help him get to know the fellow. Remember Joey Attitude Fun Topics. I pushed the bar and chair and the chair gave a grunt and I stood and started toward the walk-in freezer in the back on the right. Even though the rest of the bar was one big room, right near the freezer door it felt quieter as though one were about to step into a cold cavern of stock. Sure enough, the chill blast would perk anyone who was going in who hadn't had their dose of caffeine that day. For the air hit me like an icy flame, like it hadn't been open for days, as though New York winter proportion temperature built up pressure. It bites. I had to stifle a shudder so deep that Felix would have likely heard me from the front. I shook it off and peered and peeked at the frosty thermostat and stepped right back out and shut the chrome door like in a flash, like a child in and out of a dark basement do when imagination running him or her timid. I turned back toward the bar and stopped short, like someone walking the wrong way in a parking lot. Felix wasn't there. I thought for a second he may have been crouching under the bar for something. I approached it hesitantly by instinct and peeked again, and saw nobody. I called for him and silence answered. I shrugged to myself and took another seat and figured I'd wait if he had some sort of an obvious emergency that he couldn't wait to explain. Just then his napkin idea could come in handy. I retrieved one and tapped my pen open with my thumb and wrote 14 degrees on it. So if he'd left, he'd see it if he returned before my time became tight. Waited about 5 minutes and I thought this most unusual. I would have heard him open the bar's front door as quick as I had been. I thought, what the hey, and about pouring myself another and tucking a few dollars where he could spot it later. Well, I noticed a new napkin note on it. He must have scribbled immediately after I came out of the freezer. With another drawing, it wasn't him. Keep the drawing, matey. Nice small talk. And a smiley face. And the money was still there. I grinned again, relieved he had had an errand or something. You trust me with the money to watch. Just then he'd opened the door again, and to my surprise, he greeted. How now, Rodney? You're the first person here. How's about a basket of pretzels or peanuts? Glad you let yourself in. Come again? I wrote down the freezer temperature in case I had to leave too. Oh, you remember in my mind. I was about to check it. What? But you asked me not 10 minutes ago. I explained as he removed his coat and his scarf and switched on one of the tellies. And why didn't you have TV on when I got here? You weren't reading either. I picked up a newspaper earlier. Kooky stuff happening with all those blasted shapeshifters on the loose, searching for hosts again. A lonely one must have been sleazing nearby lately. Watching me. Or watching this place. Full-fledged shapeshifters this time. Wait a sec. Farewell enactment suddenly made sense. I showed it to him to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. And he nodded with that uncanny grin. I showed him the caricature drawing as well as, and he had a chuckle, took a rolled-up newspaper out of his coat pocket and pointed at the headline. Shapeshifters and Native Friends. Well, well, I said in a relieved breath. Don't put that in a plaque and hang on the wall. Nothing personalized about it. Or nothing need announcing about it. He didn't want my money after all. Mere small talk. I could have sworn it wasn't you. Lucky they don't take you hostage. Let me tell you what happened. Old Felix. Old pal. I put his hand on his back. My hand on his back. I'll take a rain check on a drink for now.